Hello, and welcome back to another gardening video. Now, this video is going to be slightly different in that I'm going to be showing you how to make rosemary flower salt. Now, this is a really cool recipe because it's using a part of the rosemary plant that you wouldn't typically think to use. And you might not have realized that the flowers are actually edible. You know, you can just pick one off and just eat it raw. And it has a really nice kind of rosemary flavor. But we're going to be adding it to salt and then mixing it all together, drying it out, and you'll then have a rosemary flavored salt to use all year round whenever you want. So let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to want to do is to pick the flowers. But basically all you want to do is just go in and just pluck the flowers off the plant. Okay, so you can see we've harvested pretty much all of the open flowers off of the bush, and I'll just quickly show you. Let's go down to the kitchen. Right, so now we're in the kitchen. We've harvested all of the rosemary flowers that we could, and so the next step is just before we mix in the salt, we just want to make sure there aren't any little bugs in there. So just get a clean tea towel, lay it down. You could do this outside if you wanted, but it's really windy today where I am, so that's why I'm doing it in here. And then you want to get all of your rosemary flowers and just spread them out on here. Right, so the next step after you've left your rosemary flowers to sit for a little bit and let all the bugs get out is to either get a food processor where you can just blitz all the salt and the rosemary flowers together, or if you want to go for a more traditional manual approach, then you'll be going with a pestle and mortar like I am here. So you've got your pestle and mortar, you've got your rosemary flowers, you're also going to want to get a set of scales. So what you're going to do is you're going to weigh how many rosemary flowers you were able to collect, and you're then going to add the same weight of salt into the mix. So you're going to have equal parts rosemary flowers to salt. Now I'm going to use pink Himalayan salt because that's what I have to hand, but you can use regular white sea salt as well. I've just tared my scales with a bowl on it, and then I'm going to add the rosemary flowers and see what the weight comes out as. Right, so we've just weighed all of those flowers and came out to 9 grams. So then we're now going to weigh 9 grams of salt, and then we're going to add it all to the pestle and mortar and grind it all together to mix it up properly. And we're now just going to pestle and mortar it and grind it all together. It might take a little while, but you want to get it down to a really kind of grounded up state. We're not quite done, but you can already see it's looking really, really nice already. And it will seem a bit kind of wet and like together at the moment, but once it dries out, it will become like a proper salt-like state. Right, now we're about done now, and what we're going to do for the last step is leave it to dry near an open window for a day or two, or until it's no longer all like wet and moist like it is now. We want to get all the moisture out of it, so it's a nice dry salt that we can then put into a airtight container to then store for the rest of the year, and it won't go off. We'll come back when it's fully dried out and I'll pour it into the jar and I'll show you the final result. Okay, so you can see it's been a few days and the rosemary flower salt is now nice and dry and crumbly, and so it's now time to be poured into this jar, and then we can store this jar in the cupboard and use the salt whenever we want. And there we go. We've got a really nice little jar of rosemary flower salt, and I'm going to be using this every time I make stew. I'm just going to add a little sprinkle of this in, and it will add really nice hints of rosemary, and the salt will help to enhance the other flavours and herbs that I add into the stew. And if you'd like to know how to make this delicious looking stew, then leave a like and a comment down below, and maybe I'll make a video recipe on how to make this stew. It's just so delicious. It's one of my favourite foods, and it's really easy to make. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.